What's up, Masters of the Universe fans? It's the Emerald Enthusiast, the co-host of I Have the Power, a He-Man podcast, here with a look at the Mattel Masterverse figure of She-Ra. As my Masterverse collection has filled out, there is no figure that I wanted more than She-Ra, and I was elated when this figure was announced. So let's go ahead and look at the package details now. On the bottom front, it says She-Ra, and I really like the fact that they use the old Princess of Power lettering. On the bottom of the package, we get some product information, and on this side, it says She-Ra, most powerful woman in the universe. On the top, it says Masterverse, and we get a very small partial window. On the back bottom, we get headshots of some of the other figures available in this wave. And we are treated to this absolutely stunning artwork of She-Ra and Swiftwind. This is my favorite artwork from the Masterverse line so far. On the back top, we get a brief bio of She-Ra. It says, when Adora raises the sword of protection above her head and cries, "For the honor of Grayskull," she transforms into She-Ra, Princess of Power, and leader of Etheria's Great Rebellion. Here we see She-Ra, the Princess of Power, visible through the front window of this box. I appreciate the composition of this packaging. The accessories are off to either side. Her sword features prominently, and I appreciate that as well. I do wish that we could see her feet, but that's the only criticism that I have. But I can wait no longer. Now I think it's time to bust this figure out of the package and see what's inside. Here's a look at the inner cardboard tray with the rock wall design. And here we see the Princess of Power out of the package and ready to rumble. There are some articulation limitations with this figure, but in terms of aesthetics, this figure is sensational. I think it will be satisfying for both new collectors and old school collectors alike. So let's take a closer look at the loose details now. The figure comes with numerous accessories, including this shield, which I think is just gorgeous. I like the paint choice. I like the sculpting here. The jewel in the middle looks really good, very reflective. And of course, you just slide her hand in back here and she can hold on to the shield. I'll show you that later in the video. And here is the sword. And this is probably the most important accessory. Let me get you a better shot here. This has been sculpted very well. No complaints about the sword. This is exactly what collectors expect. She also comes with two alternate hands, and I'll be putting these on the figure later. And each one of the hands comes with a hinged peg, and those port into the forearms. She also comes with this longer version of her cape. Now, I've talked about some of the Masterverse capes in the past being a little on the thin side and a little too transparent, and I think that's the case here too, but I do like the part that goes over her shoulders and neck. And here is the alternate head sculpt, and this has also been produced very well. The paint applications on the mask as well as the sculpting on the hair, everything is just top-notch here. So here's some details on the lower body, and as you can see, the figure is sturdy. I really do appreciate these boots. You can see this intricate deco on those. And I really like the fact that the tops of the boots are sculpted. And this gold paint is just magnificent. You can see just how reflective of the light it is. The figure has double jointed knees. They are pinless double jointed knees, so I certainly appreciate that. I would have preferred her quadriceps to be a little bit more muscular, but that's a very minor criticism. They are sculpted well. Likewise, I would have preferred just a little bit more definition in the hamstrings, but the overall shape of the legs is very commendable. In terms of articulation, you can get her ankle to go backward that far. You can get it to articulate forward just a little bit, and there is a considerable amount of ankle pivoting. The knees will help you articulate the lower leg up that far, so if you would like to get her into a running pose, you certainly can. And also directly underneath the skirt, she has the quadricep swivel, as you can see. But the hip area is where we encounter some articulation issues. You can only get her to kick out to the side that far, and that's when you start to experience resistance with the skirt. I really would have liked for a slit to have been there so she could kick out to the side, and the same as far as lifting her leg forward. Again, you experience resistance. You can get her to step back pretty well, so I do appreciate that. And while I'm the type of collector who usually is willing to sacrifice a little bit of articulation for better aesthetics, I still think that Mattel could have done a little bit better job here. With that being said, the visuals on this dress are outstanding. You can see lots of wrinkles sculpted into the skirt area here. The paint applications are magnificent. And that runs up into the upper torso joint, so when you articulate it, it doesn't look weird. This has just been done very well. You can even see these exact paint applications here on the upper part of the dress and here on the belt area. Here's a look at the back. And there's not a huge gap back here, so it doesn't look weird. You can see all of these little seams back here. So Mattel should be commended for this level of detail. In terms of articulation, she has a considerable amount of upper torso swiveling. You can get her to rock back that far. She's hampered a little bit by her hair, and you can get her to crunch forward that much. Now, I have to point out that she does not have any waist pivoting at all. There is no movement there, so that might be disappointing to some collectors. So here's a close-up of the arms, and once again we see this very intricate deco on these magnificent forearm gauntlets. Once again, I really appreciate this gold paint. Lots of good sculpting on the gauntlets as well. Good musculature here for the biceps and triceps area. You can see some definition back here, so I certainly appreciate that. She has the double-jointed elbows, and I'll get to the articulation in a minute. But I have to say, overall, I do like the shape of her arms. Good definition there on the deltoids. So good job by Mattel here. So there is some movement here in the wrist, but it's a little bit tighter than I expected. And likewise with the elbow, you can get her arm to go up this far, but then the gauntlet kind of makes contact with the biceps. And I tried to move this other part of the elbow, and it felt like it was going to break. I started to hear squealing plastic, so I went ahead and just left that. She does have good bicep swiveling, and you can get her arm to go up that far with the shoulder joint. There is 360 degrees of rotation, and if you want to get her arms to go out into this power pose, you can get them to go backward this far. So I do appreciate that. If you would like to pose her holding the shield, her hand and forearm just slide into these molded straps, and it's a nice, snug fit. It doesn't feel like it's going to fall off easily, and I really do appreciate the way this looks. And if you would like to have her throwing a Princess of Power punch, you might find this alternate set of hands very advantageous. So now we're going to take a look at both head sculpts, and I am a huge fan of this one. I really couldn't ask for more. The skin looks very realistic. The paint applications on the eyes and the lips are very exact. Her tiara just looks magnificent. It is sculpted to look just like wings on either side of her head, just the way it should look. And this long flowing hair, it doesn't look plastic at all. I think she's had a couple of different kinds of yellow and gold mixed in with that, and it makes it look very realistic. So when you pop her head sculpt off, this little golden ring holds the cape on, and you can easily remove it. So here's a look at the dumbbell joint in the neck. And while I had the head sculpt off and the cape off, I thought I'd give you a closer look at the upper part of the back. I do appreciate the musculature that has been sculpted in here. And of course, without the head sculpt on and the hair not impeding it in any way, you can get her upper torso to rock backwards further. So here is a close-up of the head sculpt with the mask. And I do like this, not as much as I like the other one. But again, I do appreciate this gold paint and the pattern, the winged pattern that has been sculpted into either side of this. The paint applications are once again very tight. Much like the other head sculpt, the hair looks very realistic. So this is another positive for this figure. So the longer cape just slips over the neck joint like this. Now I think that the shoulder armor complements the tiara very well. I'm actually going to choose the longer cape to display my figure. Now in terms of articulation with both head sculpts, there is a little bit of resistance. You really can't get her head to move backward very far due to the hair. You can get her to look down a little bit, and there's a little bit of head tilting. But with the amount of hair that this character has, I really didn't expect the neck to have great articulation. I certainly hope you have enjoyed this review. If so, please like and subscribe. Stay tuned for some articulation shots, and also remember to catch me on the Multiverse Musings vidcast, available right here on YouTube. And I'll be back to the internet with more Masters of the Universe related content soon. But until we meet again, this has been the Emerald Enthusiast, and thanks for watching.